The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
It looks beautiful, but I don't know anything about her. So it's hard to develop some sort of admiration or connection with women when they're written very two-dimensional. And
drama pieces going on between Jenna Ortega and the Walt Disney Company. Disney's been trying to desperately get her on board.
It was supposed to be a fairy tale come true, a rising star cast in one of Disney's most ambitious live-action adaptations. But behind the scenes, something was going terribly wrong. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more shocking Hollywood revelations you won't find anywhere else. Rachel Zegler's journey from celebrated newcomer to Hollywood outcast happened faster than anyone could have predicted.
when I did television shows when I was younger, they would take us to media training, or they would call it, Disney 101 or something like that, where you would go and they would give you a notebook and pens and pencils and paper, and they would say, okay, you're going to post 3 times a day.
And what emerged from the ashes? A completely new Snow White starring Jenna Ortega. The question everyone's asking, what exactly happened behind closed doors? Disney had it all planned out. After Rachel Zegler's breakthrough performance in West, side story, executives saw the perfect face for their reimagined Snow White. Young, talented, with vocal abilities to match the iconic role.
This was Jenna's main reasoning of deciding to back out of the project and created serious creative differences between herself.
She seemed destined to bring the beloved princess to modern audiences. The announcement generated buzz across social media, with fans excited to see what this fresh talent would bring to the character that launched Disney's animated feature film legacy. But the fairy tale didn't last long. What started as standard promotional interviews quickly spiraled into a PR nightmare that would haunt the production.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
In what would become infamous comments, Zegler began openly criticizing the original 1937 Snow White film, the very foundation of the Disney princess empire. It's no longer 1937, Zegler declared in one interview. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them. It's the old, it truly is go woke, go broke.
In another damaging clip, she referred to the prince as a guy who literally stalks her. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Longtime Disney fans felt she was dismissing the magic that made the original so beloved. Social media exploded with criticism, and hashtags calling for her replacement began trending. But these controversial statements were only the beginning. What happened next would change everything.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
Behind the glamorous promotional photos and carefully orchestrated press appearances, tensions were brewing on set. Multiple industry insiders reported growing friction between Zegler and her co-star Gal Gadot, who had been cast as the evil queen. What began as creative differences about character interpretations reportedly evolved into full-blown conflicts that disrupted filming.
Every one of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress.
Sources close to the production claimed that the two stars had fundamentally different views on the film's tone and messaging. These disagreements eventually spilled over into awkward press appearances, where the tension was palpable, even as publicists desperately tried to maintain a facade of harmony. Studio executives, who had invested hundreds of millions into the production.
People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
Watched in horror as their star-powered dream team became a liability. Instead of generating positive buzz, the focus shifted to analyzing body language between the leads at press events and dissecting quotes for signs of animosity. One insider reportedly said the atmosphere on set during reshoots was unbearably.
So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general.
Tense, with the two stars barely communicating outside of their scenes together, and then came the financial reality check that would seal the production's fate. Despite massive marketing campaigns spanning continents, the film catastrophically underperformed at the box office. Opening weekend numbers fell far below projections, and audience word of mouth did nothing to help the situation.
This weird feminist thing where her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice.
While Disney never publicly confirmed the exact figures, industry analysts estimated losses in the tens of millions, a devastating blow for a tentpole release meant to launch a new era of Disney princess adaptations. Reviews painted a grim picture. Critics pointed to a disjointed narrative, conflicting tones, and a distinct lack of the magic that had made Disney's previous live-action adaptations successful.
Be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince, like that's incongruous. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
Audience scores were even more brutal, with longtime fans expressing disappointment in how far the adaptation had strayed from what made the original timeless. One particularly revealing comment from an anonymous Disney executive summed it up. "We wanted to modernize the story while keeping the heart."
Every box. And just for cherry on top at the end, she gave an interview last week talking about how they were basically a bunch of white supremacists on the set of West Side Story.
Somehow, we ended up with neither. The fallout extended far beyond a single box office disappointment, and what happened next shocked even seasoned Hollywood observers. In an unprecedented turn of events, multiple major studios began quietly distancing themselves from Rachel Zegler.
Steven Spielberg and co. were demanding that she prove how Latina she really is, since her name doesn't sound Latina, and she was angrily saying, "Did I have to bring in my little abuelita for you to believe that I was..."
Projects that had been rumored to feature the actress suddenly announced different casting choices. Paramount, which had reportedly been preparing to offer her a lead role in a high-budget thriller, withdrew the opportunity. Similarly, Legendary Pictures reconsidered casting her in a monster-based blockbuster scheduled for 2027.
That's her thanks to Steven Spielberg, who discovered her and made her. So she's an ingrate, she's annoying, and I think she's probably two and done.
Industry insiders began whispering about blacklisting, a serious claim in modern Hollywood. While some defended Zegler, arguing her comments were being blown out of proportion, others pointed to a combination of factors: the box office failure, her controversial statements about a beloved classic, and reports of difficult on-set behavior. Together, these created a perfect storm that transformed her from rising star to perceived liability almost overnight.
Her mouth. I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
One producer, speaking anonymously to protect industry relationships, revealed, "It's not about one interview or one bad box office weekend. It's about risk assessment. When you're investing $200 million in a project, you need your lead to bring audiences in, not drive them away." For Disney, the damage control required drastic measures, and their solution sent shockwaves through the entertainment world.
Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her.
In a stunning announcement that took fans and industry professionals by surprise, Disney revealed plans for a completely new Snow White adaptation, this time starring Wednesday sensation Jenna Ortega. The press release carefully avoided mentioning the previous version, instead focusing on a fresh approach to the classic fairy tale. The message was clear. Disney was hitting the reset button, distancing itself from the controversy-plagued.
You know, like how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sin? It's not hard. Like, who just isn't going to offend half.
Earlier production, the choice of Ortega was strategically brilliant. Already beloved for her roles in Wednesday, Scream, and other successful projects, she brought a strong fan base and, crucially, a relatively controversy-free public image. Her approach to interviews had always been measured and respectful while still maintaining authentic personality. Exactly what Disney needed after the previous debacle. Fan reaction to the announcement was overwhelmingly positive. Social media lit up with excitement.
Every single white male is a piece of shit. and the woman is the hero, and all authority is bad, and all business is bad, but government is good as social. And most people don't know what they're watching. She, unfortunately, sort of pulled the curtain back, and people knew exactly.
And multiple entertainment outlets ran stories analyzing how Ortega's casting represented a complete reset for the troubled property. Unlike the backlash that had plagued the earlier adaptation, this announcement generated the kind of enthusiasm Disney had originally hoped for. But what does this mean for Rachel Zegler's future in Hollywood? And what lessons can other young stars learn from this cautionary tale? The entertainment industry has always been unforgiving, but the digital age has accelerated both the rise and fall of promising careers. For Zegler, rebuilding her reputation will likely require a carefully planned strategy. Industry experts suggest that taking smaller roles in critically acclaimed independent films could provide a path back to the mainstream, allowing her to showcase her undeniable talent while distancing herself from controversy. Others point to stars who have successfully navigated similar setbacks, noting that time and thoughtful career choices can eventually change public perception.
Toolman.
Yeah, I have a clip of it.
Oh, okay, great.
Her being a retard.
Okay.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she.
However, the severity of this particular situation, with multiple major studios backing away simultaneously, presents unique challenges that few have faced at such an early career stage. The broader lesson resonates throughout Hollywood. When dealing with beloved cultural touchstones, respect for the source material is essential. Modernizing classic stories doesn't require dismissing what made them special to generations of fans. Audiences generally embrace fresh perspectives, but they resist what feels like disrespect toward cherished memories.
And so it was like
Those people.
very much this, yes, it was this
people that
awakening.
We need to educate the people that we need to love into awareness.
Love them in the right direction.
For Disney, the pivot to Jenna Ortega represents not just damage control, but a renewed opportunity. Sources familiar with the new production suggest it will strike a more balanced approach, honoring the classic elements fans cherish while thoughtfully updating aspects that reflect contemporary values. Most importantly, the messaging around the film will emphasize celebration rather than criticism of the original. One Disney creative executive reportedly told team members, "We don't need to tear down the past to build something new, the best." Adaptations add to the legacy rather than replacing it. As for Jenna Ortega, her involvement signals another step in her rapid ascent within the industry. Already establishing herself as a modern scream queen and teen icon, taking on one of Disney's most iconic princesses would cement her position as a leading talent of her generation. Her public statements about the role have been characteristically gracious, expressing honor at joining Disney's legacy while avoiding any direct reference to the previous adaptation's troubles. The contrast in approaches couldn't be more striking. Anne serves as a masterclass in navigating the complex intersection of art, commerce, and public relations that defines modern Hollywood. What emerges from this extraordinary Hollywood saga is a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in an industry built on public perception. Rachel Zegler's journey from celebrated newcomer to cautionary tale happened in less than 2 years, a meteoric rise followed by an equally rapid decline. Meanwhile, Jenna Ortega's careful building of a career, project by project, reputation-focused approach has positioned her to inherit one of Disney's most valuable properties. The Snow White controversy ultimately reveals something fundamental about the entertainment business. Technical talent alone is never enough. The most successful stars combine their artistic abilities with an understanding of their relationship with audiences, particularly when stepping into beloved cultural institutions. It's a delicate balance that requires both authenticity and awareness. As Disney prepares to move forward with their new vision for Snow White, the industry watches closely. Will Jenna Ortega succeed where Rachel Zegler faltered? Can Disney recapture the magic that made the original a timeless classic while speaking to modern audiences? And what will become of a once promising career now shrouded in controversy? One thing is certain. In the kingdom of Hollywood, no crown is ever secure. And the difference between fairy tale success and cautionary tale can come down to a few fateful words. If you found this story fascinating, hit that subscribe button for more Hollywood revelations. The truth behind the magic is always more interesting than the fairy tale.